I'm just an ordinary citizen, just like yourselves. And everyone here at the Federal Reserve today has many concerns and are just like you. We believe every citizen an owner, and we have a need for the Declaration of Monetary Justice. Whereas the United States economy is today plagued by a growing gap between the rich and the non-rich, by a global recession and credit crisis, by debilitating waste and underemployment of human talent, by inadequate growth alongside shackled technological potential, by record-level trade and governmental budget deficits, and by an estimated hidden debt of $56.4 trillion in future Social Security and Medicare entitlements, added to historically high federal debt being imposed on young Americans and generations not yet born. And whereas the sustainable growth and energy self-sufficiency of the American economy in the 21st century will require trillions of dollars each year of new and improved life-enhancing technology, rentable space, and physical infrastructure. And whereas the Joint Economic Committee of Congress, as early as 1977, has declared broad-based ownership of new capital as an effective strategy for raising national productivity. And whereas the national goal of equal economic opportunity has been blocked by artificial barriers to widespread capital ownership. And whereas this policy objective has been frustrated by the systemic concentration of economic power and exclusionary access to future capital credit to the advantage of the wealthiest Americans. And whereas the Federal Reserve System has stifled the growth of America's productive capacity through its monetary policy by monetizing public sector growth and mounting federal deficits and bailouts of mortgage loan sharks and their Wall Street syndicators, by favoring speculation over investment, by shortchanging the capital credit needs of entrepreneurs, inventors, farmers, and workers, by increasing the dependency of families by burdening them with usury consumer credit, and by perpetuating unjust capital credit and ownership barriers between rich Americans and those without savings. And whereas there is a fundamental difference between asset-backed credit for productive uses and debt-backed credit for non-productive uses, consumption or speculation, the first being critical for stimulating private sector investment, saving, and the supply of new marketable wealth, and the second being used to give people more inflated dollars to chase the same supply of existing wealth. And whereas the Federal Reserve Board is now empowered under Section 13 of the Federal Reserve Act to reform monetary policy, to discourage non-productive and speculative uses of credit, and to encourage accelerated rates of private sector growth, and to promote widespread individual access to productive credit as a fundamental right of citizenship. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Congress amend the Federal Reserve Act. Let me repeat. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Congress amend the Federal Reserve Act. 1, to require the Federal Reserve Board to stop monetizing government debt through its buying and selling of U.S. Treasuries. 2, to begin reactivating its discount mechanism to encourage private sector growth linked to expanded capital ownership opportunities for all Americans. And 3, to provide a lifetime ownership share in each regional Federal Reserve Bank to every citizen as a fundamental right of citizenship. To this end, we hereby petition the Federal Reserve Board to adopt a two-tiered money creation and credit policy that sharply distinguishes between ownership expanding productive credit and ownership concentrating non-productive and speculative uses of credit. The Federal Reserve discount rate for the lower tier should be reduced to no higher than 0.5% as a one-time service fee for crediting interest-free new money backed by sustainable non-inflationary, and broadly owned growth. This new reserve of Federal Reserve monetary credit should be reserved exclusively to make available in equal periodic allotments to every citizen through capital homestead accounts. Direct access to interest-free capital credit. Such expanded bank credit should not be subsidized by the taxpayers and should be backed and collateralized by the newly acquired assets and private sector credit insurance to cover the risk of default. Such ownership broadening capital credit borrowed through local banks at the lower tier rates could be invested in qualified securities such as newly issued full dividend payout, full voting shares in a company for which a member of the citizen's household works, companies in which the citizen's household has a monthly billing account, for profit citizen land cooperatives organized for large-scale local land and infrastructure development, employee stock ownership plans, homeowner equity corporations for turning renters of the burdensome foreclosure homes into owners, production and marketing cooperatives and partnerships, family-owned and operated small businesses and farmers, and mature companies with a history of solid earnings. And be it therefore resolved that a copy of this Declaration of Monetary Justice has been personally delivered by myself to many and will be sent to the President and members of Congress and the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System.